All right, so sorry if we already got started, we're going to get started again. I actually will share that testimonial again because I think it's really powerful to share with people. So a patient had come to me quite a few months ago when the whole lockdown was in, and as I already mentioned, you know, for a lot of people, they're shut in their home, they can't go anywhere, you know, the fridge is calling their name, boredom sets in. Also, to be honest, like a lot of people are feeling a little depressed or anxious because of the state of the world right now, and so food can be a very comfort for a lot of people. And so she had been struggling a bit with her nutrition, and when she went to her doctor's appointment, he had mentioned that she was going to have to go on medication, that her cholesterol was way too high, and she was like, I don't want to go on medication. It really freaked her out. She was like, what do I need to do? And so the principles we're going to teach you today here in the seminar, you guys are going to learn all of that. And so over the course of the last 4 or 5 months, she's been applying this stuff, and so she's down almost 30 pounds. So she's down 28 pounds. She no longer needs her one of her medications, her cholesterol medication. She never needed to go on it. So I just want to encourage you guys. She took little step after little step after little step, but her life is drastically different over 5 months. So just realize what we're going to do over the next 4 or 5 months is really give you some tools, some tips, some tricks, but more importantly, a community to come to where you can ask questions, where you can feel a part of something, where you can band together with other people like minds who are trying to get healthier and more well over the course of these next months. And it's something that you can look forward to. So we're going to try and keep posting things that are motivational, inspirational. Please feel free to send me stuff. If you think something would be great for the group, please feel free to send it to myself or Dr. Kayla. We'll make sure that this information gets on there so we can help more people, and we'll just come together as a team. So we're really excited to get started with our seminar series today, which is nutrition. And for those that are here today, you guys can certainly ask questions, and then anyone who's watching live, you guys can ask questions as well, and I'm going to go back and answer those questions after the seminar is over. So for Maximize Living, we have 5 essentials. Max Mind, maximize nerve supply, maximize the quality of nutrition, which is the one we're going to do today, maximize oxygen and lean muscle mass, and maximizing or minimizing your exposure to toxins. So we go over all 5 essentials, and over the next 5 months, these are the 5 essentials we're going to go through. Today is nutrition, so we're going to get started.
Cool. So this is something we always start with. It's a really nice quote to go over is, if you want things in your life to change, then you have to change the things in your life. So things don't just happen without actually making those steps, going forward with those.
And so it seems like a really simple quote, but it really is, guys. Like, set your mind today. Like, come here going, I want to make things change. And I forgot to say right before this, I started to interrupt Dr. Kayla. I don't want you guys to leave feeling overwhelmed. Or for those of you at home, the goal is not to overwhelm you. Our goal is to give you as much as we can over this course of time so that when you leave, you can use as much of this as possible. So for somebody, they might be able to make this change. You might be able to make this change, they might be able to make that change. So we're going to give you everything because every single person's different. So what we don't want to see is you guys leave feeling totally overwhelmed. Even if you just changed one thing today, just one thing, you're going to be healthier 6 months from now. So studies have shown that changing your lifestyle can prevent at least 90% of all heart disease. So the disease that accounts for more premature deaths and costs Americans more than any other illness is almost completely preventable. So many people don't realize most of the diseases we have. So just like that patient I told you about who reversed her heart disease, she got off her cholesterol medication, or didn't need the cholesterol medication, got rid of another medication. It is preventable and it's also reversible. So you may have been told throughout your life that you can't reverse this or you can't change it, and the truth is you actually can. So we want to give you those steps and empower you to do that.
Yeah, so just looking at a bit of obesity trends, 61% of Canadian adults are overweight, and 27% of Canadians, which is 8 million people, are obese. So those are pretty scary statistics, and people don't really think of it in terms of numbers that way, but looking at it on paper, it is quite shocking for sure.
And these are numbers from 2004. So realize over the last 16, 17 years, things have probably gotten a lot worse than this. And again, there's countries where people live to be 80 to 100 years old. 0 disease, no cancer, no heart disease, no medications. So we're obviously here in our country doing something very different. And that's why it's like, if we can get back to living life more natural, then we can also prevent the issues that are happening. So this is where it's really shocking and concerning, because it's not just us, it's our kids. So there is less real food now than there's ever been. So kids are eating a lot of processed packaged, so are adults, but kids especially are eating a lot of processed packaged foods. And so for their brain development, for them to be able to focus, so we look at ADD and ADHD and a lot of diseases we're seeing kids have, really it's like if we're not feeding kids proper nutrition for their brains, we just have to realize they're finding kids with arteries like 45-year-olds as a child. So that sets them up for heart disease, like heart attacks. So type 2 diabetes used to be called adult onset. It's no longer called adult onset anymore. So diet is one of the biggest determining factors for disease, for heart disease. So when you look at cancers especially, different types of cancers are related more to food than others. But even things like prostate cancer, 75% can be traced back to diet that week. Colon cancer, 70%, breast cancer, 50%. So for people who are looking to prevent or make sure they're not getting cancer, then diet is one of the first places we want to look. And most people say, oh, it's just your genetics. It's not your genetics. It's the environment that you're in and the things that you put into your body. So the hard part is there's all these different diets. You know, you can look at any magazine, listen to any doctor, and it's like, well, do this diet, do that diet. There's so many things out there. And what we want to do is we want to bring it back to common sense. We want to make this really easy for patients. You're going to see a quote later at the end of the seminar. It basically says real food, or live food equals life, dead food equals death. So if it's real, live, if it's from the earth, if it's grown from the ground, if God put it here for us to eat, then we can eat it and we're going to be healthy and well. But if it's devoid, if it's packaged and processed, it's not going to give you life, health, and wellness. So a simple example of that is when we look at something like raw almonds. Now these are not, I know people, I've had patients go, I'm eating good healthy nuts, and I find out like they're the salted, they're the hydrogenated oil, baked kind, which really sweetened, yeah, it's got the little chocolate chips in it. Now that's okay for a snack now and then, right, because we're not going to be all or none. But you may be thinking you're doing something healthy for yourself and not realize that when you throw all that stuff on and then bake them, you've taken all that goodness out of it. So if you took 22 raw almonds and you took one Twinkie, they're about the same amount of calories. Which one's going to give you live nutrients, enzymes, minerals, vitamins, lasting energy? Which ones do you think? For sure. So things are the same amount of calories, but when you put it in your body, you put that Twinkie and it's like, poof, it's gone. And then you're hungry again. Well, if you put almonds in, your body has something in it to actually give it fuel and energy. So we want to look at our food as more than just calories in versus calories out. Does that, okay, thank you, Sarah. So then we look at 3 spears of broccoli versus a 100-calorie bar. Which one's going to give you nutrients, enzymes, minerals, vitamins? Broccoli. The broccoli, right? So again, and the thing is, if you found this 100-calorie bar sitting in the back of your desk 2 years later, and you pulled it out and opened it up, is it going to taste the same, look the same, smell the same? Pretty much. How about the broccoli? Will it look the same, smell the same? So realize if it's live food, it's going to give you nutrition and energy. So when you look at nutrient density, and what you want to do is try and make sure your food is the most nutrient dense possible, the more nutrient dense food. So I don't say to patients try to cut out all the bad and put in all the good, because we want you to do this for life. And if you're trying to only eat pure, healthy, like live, real food, how many people can do that for life? Not many, because many people are struggling with addiction to certain foods like sugars, breads, cookies, crackers, those things that can be really addictive. So it's like if we just try to force you to cut it all out, but if all of a sudden you just start putting a little bit more nutrient-dense food in at each meal, or little snacks that include it, your body will start craving. One of the things I love to give patients is greens. So we have a greens product we use, and I drink a couple liters a day. So if you guys have been here when I'm adjusting, you'll see my big jug of greens that I'm drinking throughout the day, but it's live nutrition. So if you know you're not getting enough vegetables, and greens might be a supplement you want to look into to make sure that you guys are getting enough nutrient value through your day. So again, the calories versus nutrient density. When you look at 400 calories of oil, it fills your stomach about this much. Who would still be hungry after that? A lot of us, because our stomach is still open, it's not full, there's nothing in it. So you have 400 calories of chicken, well, that's going to cover a little bit more. But if you get 400 calories of vegetables, you're going to be popping at the seams. So that's one of the things, if you can add a big salad to your lunch and your dinner, or multiple sources of vegetables with your meal, all of a sudden you've now created that nutrient density, and you're giving your body something that actually is going to feel full. So for anyone who's gone and had Chinese food or fast food or something like that, who would be hungry after 1 hour after eating this ginormous plate? Because there's not as much nutrient density in it. So we want to try and get as much nutrient dense live real food as we can. Now hopefully you can see this, because I know it's really bright in here. We're thankful and blessed for the windows that we have, but it makes it hard to see some of these slides. But hopefully you can see this side of the fridge versus this side. Who has a fridge closer to that side, and who has a fridge closer to this side? It's somewhere in between. So obviously they're extremes, but you can see in this fridge we have a lot of live, real, nutrient dense food. In this fridge you can see a lot of packages and processed. Unfortunately, this is what most people's fridges look like. So if your fridge is closer to this, then we want to start adding more of that into your fridge to give you that nutrient density. So countries where obesity is not a problem, so there, like I mentioned, there's countries that don't have heart disease, cancer, diabetes, a lot of the diseases we look at. And what's the main thing that they do that we're not doing, or what's the one thing they don't have in their diet for the most part, is processed foods, mostly sugar. So sugar, you're going to find, is hidden in so many things. A lot of people don't think they have a lot of sugar in their diet, but you're going to see it's hiding in a lot of everyday foods that may seem healthy, but it's hiding in there. So the top 5 nutritional changes you're going to want to make, so these are the writer-downers. If you're a person who likes to take notes, you may want to write some of these down. So the first one is cutting the sugar, or at least cutting back on the sugar. So again, you don't have to cut all of it out, but you do want to cut it back to lower levels. So it's really hiding in everything, and it's not surprising when we look at something like candy. Most people know there's sugar in candy, but you're going to find and chocolate bars, like that seems pretty common, but some of the areas that sugar is hiding, you may not even realize it's there. So things like pasta sauces, lunch meats, canned foods, condiments, salad dressings, fruit drinks, canned foods. So basically that's anything that's in a package is going to have sugar in it, okay? And Dr. Kayla in a bit is going to talk about bad fats as well. So anything in a package is pretty much going to have both of these things. The problem is sugar has very toxic effects to our body, so it actually speeds up your aging process. This is a big one right now, suppressing immune system. So a lot of people are freaking out right now about their immune system and being safe with the whole, COVID stuff that's going on. Who here thinks having a better immune system would be a pretty good idea right now? Absolutely. Do you realize every time you put sugar in your body, it depresses your immune system for 4 hours? So realize if you're putting a granola bar in, you're putting some cookies in, you're putting some crackers in, your immune system's down for 4 hours. So unfortunately, most people have sugar for breakfast, sugar for lunch, and sugar for dinner. So your immune system on the whole day is lower than if you're putting real live food in. And again, we don't want to overwhelm you and give you too much, but it's just something to be mindful of. If you're really concerned about your immune system, then cutting back the sugar is going to be a huge step you're going to want to take in order to improve that. Things like weight gain, obesity, malnutrition, hyperactivity. So especially with kids, hyperactivity, ADD, ADHD, autism. When you feed kids sugar who have these issues, you'll see them bounce off walls. And I give an example of one of my friends. I went over to her house and her kids were, really behaving well. It was in the morning. Kids were really behaving well. They're just quiet, watching TV. Next thing you know, she's like, "Oh, you guys have been so good. I'm going to give you a treat." She gets a granola bar and a red licorice. Guess what happens 5 minutes later? They're running around the house smashing each other with pillows and yelling and screaming. And she's like, "What are you guys doing? You guys were so good." And I'm like, their body's just responding to the toxic effects of the sugar that was put in. Their body's just, running. So realize, like, if you know your family, yourself is sensitive or your kids are sensitive to, hyperactivity, it might be something you want to consider and trial and see, okay, if I give them something like some fresh berries for breakfast with, something healthy versus some cereal or a Pop-Tart, watch what happens after the fact and see. It's a great thing you can do in your own home to see how your kids are responding. So it does have a very addictive cycle. So you eat sugar, it spikes your blood sugar, so your dopamine, which is like one of your happy hormones, it creates this massive influx, but then it also drops rapidly, and then you get those sugar cravings. So it creates this negative cycle that just keeps happening and happening and happening. It's also why, right after you have like your maybe morning coffee, 2 hours later you feel like you're dropping, and then right after in the afternoon you're dropping. So it could be you may be having too much sugar in your meals. So the average Canadian consumes about 53 teaspoons of sugar a day. That's average, and most people don't think there's any way in the world that they could, I think my sugar packet fell apart. Okay, so this is approximately 53 teaspoons of sugar. So they used to be taped together, they're dropping sugar. I need to get some new ones taped together, but this is about 53 teaspoons. Does anyone here think that they consume this much sugar in a day? No one ever thinks they do. What if I told you it's probably hiding in so many food you had no idea it was hiding in, that you're going to see pretty soon how easy it is to hit all 53 of these. So even just one can of soda is about 13 teaspoons of sugar. A lot of people think, well, I drink apple juice or orange juice, or I feed my family those things. Realize there's about 13 to 14 teaspoons in that as well. Sometimes juice has more sugar than Coca-Cola. So when we look at the comparison, and again, you can see the size comparison, that's how many cubes of sugar. So just in a regular can, it could be 10 to 13 depending on the type of pop that kids are drinking. Sobe green tea, so people might think this is a good option because it's green tea. There's 61 grams of sugar, which is about equal to 4 slices of Sara Lee cherry cheese or cherry pie. That's how much sugar is in one of those Sobe green teas. But again, because it says green tea, people think, well, I'm doing something good for my health. The Rockstar energy drinks, so you see a lot of people running around trying to get energy from this, about 62 grams of sugar, which is equal to 6 Krispy Kreme donuts and sugar. Starbucks, the mocha, frappa, kappa, whatever they're called, 8.5 scoops of Eddie's ice cream, so it's 95 grams of sugar. And if you drink it, guess what happens? Right into your cells. So that will definitely cause one of those massive spikes later in the day where your sugar just completely drops if you're having one of these. Bread. How many people like sandwiches, bagels, something in the morning like an English muffin? So 2 slices of bread, if you have a sandwich, is about equal equal to a chocolate bar of sugar in your body. And the reason why is carbohydrates break down to sugar in the body. So again, you might be like, well, I'm eating whole grain or I'm eating whole wheat. You just have to realize it still breaks down to sugar because carbohydrates will break down to sugar in the body. So this is a cereal, total 100% nutrition. So it looks really healthy. It's blueberry pomegranate. So you might look at that and go, that looks like it's a decent cereal. It has 100% of all the stuff that you need. Well, I've highlighted over here the different forms of sugar. And you might be surprised to find out it doesn't actually contain blueberries, it doesn't actually contain pomegranates. There's 8 different sweeteners and it has 24 teaspoons of sugar in one serving, which is like a tiny little cup. 24 teaspoons. But it's supposed to be healthy, so we have to be really careful. There's a lot of slick marketing out there that really makes you feel like something might be healthy and it's not. And I know it's like, well, this is healthier than that. And it's like, you just have to decide for yourself. And I'm going to show you in a minute how to calculate how much teaspoons of sugar is in things. This one here is just kind of like a quick, so you look at a whole bunch of different cereals, like even Special K, All Bran, I don't know, I think cornflakes is up here. So even cornflakes, which people think would have no sugar, all the cereals have sugar. Here's some different condiments, and you can see that's a can of pop. And look at some of these condiments, like even mayonnaise. You wouldn't think mayonnaise has that much sugar in it, but all the stuff we use on a daily basis has tons of sugar. So this is just a general picture of some things we might consume in a day. Obviously, like these would be something like a snack. You know, you go to the mall and you grab a Cinnabon, but a lot of kids eat Pop-Tarts for breakfast. Like that's a very common, or they grab it as a snack for the day. So you just have to realize every time your child, or even a Nutri-Grain bar, which may seem healthy, which you're going to see in a minute, here's some of the different drinks. So look at vitamin water. A lot of people think vitamin water. There's quite a few teaspoons of sugar in even something that's supposed to be healthy for us. So this is just an idea of many households will have something like this. So for breakfast, you have orange juice with some cereal with some yogurt. For lunch, a kid might have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a, one of those little packs of juice with some cookies for later. Then they might have like a sit-down dinner, which is kind of like your meat and potatoes. A day like this is 284 grams of sugar, or 71 packets. So that's 20 plus more packets than what's in my hands right now. How many people now might reconsider having these 53 teaspoons of sugar a day? Yeah, everyone does. Again, don't be overwhelmed. So if you want to know where sugar's hiding, what you want to do is flip the box over. So anything that ends in OSE, that's a sugar. You even have original sources, things like maple sugar, maple syrup, honey, sugar cane, corn and corn derivatives. So anything that's corn, high fructose corn syrup, corn oil, cornmeal, those all break down into sugar. And then some of the more toxic ones down here at the bottom. So it is hiding in a lot of foods. I'm going to be totally transparent, honest. I actually thought Nutri-Grain bars were healthy at one point. I didn't know any different. This was years ago. And a lot of people still do, actually, because they haven't been shown this. So it looks healthy from the outside, because like nutrition, it's got grains, it's got raspberries. So if you want to know how to figure out how many teaspoons of sugar is in your food, this is how. So a lot of people might look at how much fat and go, well, 3 grams doesn't seem like a lot. Where you want to actually look is the total carbohydrates and the total sugars. So if you add these two together, and then divide by 4. So if you add your carbs plus your sugars and divide by 4, that tells you how many teaspoons of sugar is in your food. So Nutri-Grain bars have about 10 teaspoons of sugar for one little bar. Where's that sugar coming from? Well, let's look at the actual ingredient list. You've got preservatives. So the first ingredient is preservative. So if it's meant to be preserved in a package for however long, what's it going to do in your fat cells? It's going to preserve your fat cells. So if you don't want that, you may not want to eat these. You got high fructose corn syrup, again, high fructose corn syrup, fructose, sugar, maltodextrin, cornstarch, these are all the different forms of sugar that are just in one bar. So what you want to see when you flip your package over is less ingredients. The less ingredients, or the ones that you can read, like if it's like, like flax seeds and chia seeds and hemp oil and stuff like you can actually read, that's good. But when you've got a bunch of stuff you can't read, you just have to realize that's chemical soup basically for your body. So Nature Valley, again, they might make it look nice and healthy with oats, honey. There's 10 teaspoons of sugar. So I've highlighted those areas where you're going to find the sugar. So again, you add the carbohydrates plus the sugar, divide by 4, and it's approximately 10 teaspoons of sugar for one bar. Same here, you've got like the oats that are dipped in the yogurt, make it seem like it's a better option, 10 teaspoons of sugar. Cheerios, how much sugar do you think's in Cheerios? Any guesses?
Not much.
Not much. That's the guess that I always get, is not much. So you'd be surprised to know there's 6 teaspoons of sugar for one little cup. That's what a carb. I know. So I thought I was eating something healthy and they taste plain. They don't like the Honey Nut Cheerios taste delicious, but then the plain ones, you're like, I'll do it just because it's healthier. You're still having about 6 teaspoons of sugar per cup. And most people don't have a cup of cereal, they have a bowl of cereal, which is much more significant. These ones here are the oats and honey protein Cheerios. This one shocked and awed me. 14.5 teaspoons of sugar, and that's a quarter of a cup. That's less than a cup. Isn't that crazy?
Oh my God.
So cereal is one of the biggest things. People start their day with cereal, especially kids. A lot of kids start their day with cereal, full of sugar. So we're hawking our kids up on sugar to start the day. All brand? Any sugar? Yeah, no? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, I definitely think now. You guys, I'm catching on to this, Lianne. So 7.5 teaspoons of sugar
In a half a cup.
and a half a cup.
That's
So
crazy.
so number one, wheat bran. So wheat breaks down into sugar, and the second ingredient in your bran flakes are all brand is sugar. I know. Just so you know, you've been lied to by all those
Yeah.
slick marketing
That's
companies.
exactly what I'm thinking.
Yeah, she's like, I've been lied to all this time. This is crap. So Activia, good option, not so good option. You guys are like, I know exactly where you're headed. They're all bad options, right? So Activia, if we count it, 8 teaspoons of sugar in those little tiny cups.
Oh my God.
So I have a lot of patients who tell me they eat like 2 of these a day because they're healthy, and I'm like, you're better just to buy a probiotic than you already eat this, because realize you might have got some of those good probiotics, but if you eat a bunch of sugar to go with those probiotics, you're not doing yourself a favor to eat all the sugar. So again, I'm not telling you to cut all this stuff out, but this is a snack. This is not a health food. This is a snack. So if you want yogurt as a health food, I'll be honest, it tastes awful. So real healthy yogurt is awful. It doesn't taste good. So you have to hide it in something like your protein shake, because it's like the plain, organic, like kefir, which again doesn't have the greatest flavor. I don't know many people who actually like plain, non-flavored sweetened yogurt. So you do want to make sure though, if you get the one that says like 0 sugar, it means they've added what to it? Aspartame. Yeah, or sweet and low, NutraSweet. So you just have to be very careful. We're going to talk about aspartame in a minute. So what the recommendation is for women is about 6 teaspoons of sugar, and men is 9. And I just showed you our daily foods. Almost all the packaged foods have already exceeds that, right? So what ends up happening is we go through about 53 teaspoons of sugar a day. So every 10 days, we go through one of these bags. So if you eat some of the stuff that we talked about, most people go through this every 10 days. My question is, anyone have any idea what massive disease we're fighting right now that this is correlated with?
Heart disease?
That too. Cancer.
Oh.
So sugar fuels cancer. So when you decrease sugar, cancer cells die off. When you increase sugar, cancer cells live and thrive. Cancer cannot live without the presence of sugar. That's their fuel source. So just realize we are absolutely feeling a massive, forget COVID right now, a massive epidemic of cancer is because we're feeding ourselves too much of this. And it's hiding in a lot of things. So I've already kind of given this away, but would you think Raisin Bran, healthy or not so healthy?
No, because the raisins are covered with sugar.
Wow. 1 serving.
Wow.
What?
1 serving?
1 serving, and 1 serving is 1 cup. I don't know French. 1 cup. I know. So
That's insane.
I used to love this stuff as a
Yeah.
kid. I thought it was a health food. Certainly not. This one as well. I used to think this was a health food. How many packets of sugar in 1 serving? Oh my God. Like, we hate you, Lianne. Don't come back. And again, if you remember, I said please don't be overwhelmed. We are going to give you options of what you can eat. How about this? Sugar in this?
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so this pizza, if you cut it into 6, 1/6, which is
I can
these
eat
aren't
one of
that
those.
big. I can eat one of them. Yeah.
I've eaten one of those before.
So 1 little 1/6 of it. I think we probably all have.
Yeah.
Lucia, so you're not alone on that. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one here. This one should be easy. We know there's lots of sugar in this one. 1 drumstick. Totally.
Oh, wow.
That's almost like as tall as I am.
God.
So when you start seeing your food differently, all of a sudden it makes sense why as a whole we're unhealthy, we're unfit, we don't feel good, we don't have energy. One of the biggest things I hear from patients is I don't have energy. Well, if we're constantly filling ourselves full of like poor, it's kind of like one of those like fancy cars. You've got special gas to put in your fancy car. It won't run on the regular stuff all other cars run on. Well, it's like we're putting stuff in our fancy car that's not going to run it very well. But if you start putting those nutrient-dense foods in, you're going to start feeling better. And you may still go, well, I can't give up these, Dr. Lianne. Then don't. But start putting more of the other stuff in and don't feel deprived, because as soon as you feel deprived, you won't stick with it long term. So it's to start adding bits and bits or more of the good stuff. Eggos, this one's just for 2 waffles without any syrup on it.
That's before the syrup.
That's before the syrup? Yes. The syrup would add like 53 of those to it. So that's just an idea for you guys to kind of see, what that looks like in real life with real food. So here's where I talked about, so sugar feeds cancer. So they actually do scans called PET scans. They do them more in the States than they do here. But what a PET scan is They shoot glucose, sugar, into the vein, so you can see right here, glucose, it's a big long word. They put it in, and you see all these spots? That's cancer in the body. So someone who's like multiple myeloma, where it's all through the bodies, or a malignant cancer that's metastasized to the bone, that's what it looks like. So they shoot sugar into your vein, and all the cancer starts eating it, and it lights up on the scan.
Way.
So they know this, but they don't correlate it back to stop eating sugar because you're fueling cancer. So if you know someone dealing with cancer, one of the most important things you can tell them is to stop eating processed packaged foods and eat more live, real, green foods that they can. Sugar excites the same receptor sites in your brain as cocaine. It's actually easier to break a cocaine addiction than a sugar addiction. And that's why I come from the point of balance in life, where it's like, it's not all or none. If you do all or none, it's not something sustainable for life. It's kind of an 80-20. Still give yourself room to have things that you enjoy and love, but try for 80% of the time to eat real live food so that your body's actually getting nutrition and health and feeling better and more energetic. So this is the first one that we covered, is cutting out sugar. What we don't want to do is replace it with things like Splenda, NutraSweet, Sweet and Low, aspartame filled. So realize when they cut open brain tumors and study what's in brain tumors, they find aspartame in them. So you don't want to be putting aspartame. So that'd be like Diet Cokes, Diet Pops, Diet drinks. Even though a lot of those flavored waters, they have aspartame. So you want to make sure when you flip everything over, read the ingredients. If you see aspartame in it, you have to realize it causes vision damage. It can cause migraines. I've seen a lot of patients who have had way too much aspartame in their diet from Diet Coke have MS, so multiple sclerosis symptoms, and as soon as they get rid of the Diet Pop, their MS symptoms disappear. So there's just a picture of some of the side effects of drinking Diet Pop. So the longer the shelf life of something, the shorter yours. So you want to stay away from things that can sit on a shelf for many years at a time. This is something that's a more healthy alternative. So for me, I do like a bit of sweeteners, something to sweeten up things like coffee or tea. So I'll use sweet leaf is the one I use, and I don't use a lot of it, just enough of it to give it a bit of sweetness, but it comes from an herb, it comes straight from the ground, so it's not going to affect your blood sugar, but it's also not going to have the chemical effects of the aspartame one.
Does it have the aftertaste?
Some do, yeah, like
Does
that's why I
that
buy
one have
sweet
it?
leaf does not. Sweet leaf
Good
is the
to
one
know,
I buy
'cause I
that
won't- yeah.
doesn't have, because if you've had, people like, I've tried stevia, it tastes awful.
Yeah.
Some do and leave a terrible taste in your mouth. Thankfully, the sweet leaf one doesn't leave that terrible taste in your mouth.
Great.
The other thing I want to make sure, because you're just like, well, you just told me to cut out basically everything I need. What am I supposed to do now?
Yep.
Can you pass me the book, Dr. or Marcia, actually? One thing you're going to find, one thing we're going to talk about today is our book, Align Your Health. I really do urge you guys, we actually just got a shipment of these in, is to get a book, because what you're going to find in the back of the book is over 100 recipes on how to make healthier options. So you can have cookies, you can have muffins, you can have breads. All the recipes are in the back of the book, and you can use things like coconut flour, flaxseed meal, almond flour, and you can make healthy alternatives. And what I do is I'll make a couple loaves of like the healthier, like a banana bread or like a loaf of something, and then I freeze it, and then you just use it, so you make it all at once, because it can take more effort. But here's the thing, like if you're already at home and you're bored and your fridge is calling you, it's like you have time to make some things that maybe you didn't before. And once you've made them a couple times, like we make a really good chocolate bark. I should have brought chocolate bark for you guys. I've never thought.
The brownies.
The brownies are good too.
Oh,
So I have
really? I
an
love them.
unbelievable brownie recipe, which tastes better or is just as good as a regular brownie. It's made with almond butter, so it's all gooey inside too. It's delicious. The chocolate cake is amazing. The muffins, the almond cookies. So there's tons of really great, amazing recipes. So you don't have to give up your goodies. I just suggest you start making them versus buying them. Okay. So Dr. Kayla is going to go over fats with you guys.
Awesome. So now that we've taken away all the foods and we can't eat
Yep.
anything, instead of taking away the fat, we're going to add more fat, which people get a little bit confused about this because they're like, fat's bad, fat makes us fat, which is not true. The good fat is what we want to focus on. So I want to pre-frame this with, yes, almonds are good, yes, olive oil is a good substitute for salad, but we don't want to have 16 handfuls of almonds. We don't want to have 16 spoonfuls of salad or olive oil, right? Because you still have to burn off those calories, and if you're eating more, then it's really not going to benefit you. All right, so yeah, things like avocados, natural almonds, like Dr. Lianne said, not with the sugar and salt and all that stuff. Wild-caught salmon, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. Coconut oil. All right, so what are the bad fats and what are the good fats? So basically, bad fats are man-made and man-altered, right? So things like hydrogenated and partially hydrogenated oils. So if you see things like cottonseed oil, soybean oil, vegetable oils. Now people get confused with this because they say, well, vegetable oil, that sounds healthy, right? But the problem is it's not healthy in your body, right? So once you take something from its natural state, so a vegetable, and put it into an oil, it actually becomes rancid in your body. So guys, it is not good for you, right? Other things like trans fats, so margarine and synthetic butters, which we'll go over in just a minute as well. And like I just said, rancid vegetable oils. So corn oils, canola oil is one of the bad culprits for sure. Or those labeled vegetable oil, right? So what do we eat instead? We eat the good fats. So extra virgin olive oil, avocados, coconut and coconut oil, raw seeds and nuts, real butter, real cheese and yogurt, which like we mentioned, the yogurt is not so tasty, but you can hide it in things like your shakes and stuff like that. And grass-fed meats, eggs, and whole milks, fatty fish, wild-caught salmon. So you want to make sure that you're getting your salmon not from a grocery store, because grocery stores do not have wild-caught salmon, none in Brantford at all, right? So they might say wild-caught, but yeah.
Famous me might, and the market used to. So I'm still trying to source. I used to have a really good source for fresh fish. The grocery store fish is not comparable to fresh, even if it says 100% fresh or 100% wild.
Well, that could be the name of the company they got it from, right? So it could say wild caught, that's the name of the company that they bought it from. They actually inject food dye to make it pink. So no, just don't buy it. Just don't. Okay, so bad fats. So they're hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated oils, trans fats, rancid vegetable oils, we kind of already went over this. Fats and grain-fed meat. So there's a lot of, you want to be careful when you buy your meat as well, because they do have bad fats in it. So some examples of healthy fats like we already went over: avocados, coconut oil, raw seeds and nuts, oils, hemp seeds. Now there's a long list, and people get confused because they're like, why do I need to eat fats? The thing is, your brain is 70% fat, so it craves it, right? It craves you to eat them because you want to have energy and be energetic, right? So that's what really happens. And people tried the low-fat diet, and it didn't work, right? What happened when everyone tried the low-fat diet? They all got fat. Okay, so yeah. So everyone tried low-fat, and it actually made them fatter. So high-fat diets consisting of good fats. Look at these results: lowered blood sugar, improved blood lipids, aids in absorption of vitamins, increases metabolism, decreases insulin resistance, which is diabetes, right? Increases good cholesterol, decreases inflammation, which is pain, decreases cardiovascular disease, improve organ health, and improve weight loss. Who wants some of those results? Right? Everyone. But the thing is, people don't think of fats as good, but we want to switch that mind frame in you. So what do we look for? It's all come down to labeling. Right? Now, Dr. Lianne was looking at the ingredients. What we want to look at is the labeling and the ingredients, right? So this peanut butter looks pretty good. It says no trans fat. It has a cute squirrel on it. People will be like, oh yeah, that looks good, right? And they can get away with saying no trans fat, but look at it. First ingredient is hydrogenated vegetable oil. The reason why they can put no trans fat is because they put the serving size to this big, and there's technically no trans fat in a serving size this big, right? Who has this much peanut butter when they eat it? No one. But that's why you have to be careful with labels, because just turn it around and look. That is absolutely not good for you, right? So what's a healthy alternative? Because I know a lot of people love peanut butter. Healthy alternative, almond butter, right? So that's the base of the brownies that Dr. Lianne was talking about. But it's actually super good, and it has 0 trans fat. Look at the first ingredient. 100% organic raw almonds. Yeah, that's the only ingredient, right? Mm-hmm. So labels are super, super important. Now, surprising bad fats. People, I know everyone's like, okay, chips, ice cream, stuff like that. But even like popcorn. I remember when I was a kid, my mom's like, have some popcorn, it's a healthy treat. I'm like, is it though? So this actually has so much crap in it, right? There's a lot of like Hamburger Helper, like quick meal on the run, mac and cheese. We have these Nature Valley bars, which again, a lot of people think are healthy because it has a fancy package. So we just want to be mindful of the packaging, right? Okay, so I said I would come back to the margarine and butter. Now, margarine is kind of a trick because the Heart and Stroke Foundation kind of said like, okay, base oil is really good, it lowers your cholesterol, blah, 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 because they put a check mark on it. But look at these ingredients. Number 1, canola oil, linalool oil, some clear, like all of these things, I can't even pronounce half this stuff. But look how long it is. It is actually 1 molecule from plastic. Mm-hmm. It does not digest well, right? But look at butter. It's a one ingredient cream. Okay, so the reason why Heart and Stroke has a check mark on it is because they just paid him a lot of money to put that check mark there. It is not a good check mark, right? So butter is very much better for you, and it's all natural, right? So stay away from margarine. Don't want margarine. Yeah. All right, another labeling issue. So look at this salad dressing. It has wellness, omega-3, looks pretty healthy. It's near the organic lettuce. Would you guys, would some of you be like, oh yeah, I mean, that looks pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah. Look at these ingredients. Canola oil, filtered water, okay, with this water filter, okay. Vinegar, sea salt, lots of bad stuff in there, right? So even if the label says organic, wellness, and all that fun stuff, make sure you flip it over, because they can trick you in any part of the grocery store. And to be honest, all grocery store salad dressing is not the best anyways. Like, to make your own is way better. So coconut oil, olive oil, and salt and pepper, you're good to go, right?
And the biggest thing, just so you guys know, if you haven't been taught, the top ingredient is the most. So if it says canola oil at the top, it has the biggest ingredient, so the base of this whole thing. So some of those things might be okay in there, but the fact that the entire base of it is canola oil, that's where the problem lies. Because most people don't have a tablespoon, they pour. So you're better just to grab your olive oil and balsamic vinegar and make your own dressing and create salad dressings. And there is recipes in the book for salad dressing, some really yummy ones, and inflammatory ones. I've made with like a turmeric and other things that have really nice flavor to them. So you can enjoy those on your salad instead of the inflammatory ones.
For sure. And a lot of people don't realize that creating all this inflammation in your body with all of these bad foods, they actually cause you pain, right? So a lot of patients are coming in, not only do they not have energy, but they also are feeling kind of puffy, inflamed. That has a lot to do with diet, if you're feeling like bloated and stuff like that. So we definitely want to help decrease that. So what do bad fats cause? So they cause cellular congestion, leading to cellular dysfunction, which is ultimately cancer, right? We have inflammation of the arteries, which leads to heart attack and strokes. And then we have decrease in nerve function, which is what we're trying to improve, right? So we can adjust you all day long, but if you keep putting garbage into your body, it's really not gonna, you're not gonna feel your best. We wanna make sure that you can get to your best healing potential. And to do that, we wanna make sure you create the environment within yourself, right? Okay.
If you just click it at the end.
I first woke up, so to speak, when I was working on the anesthesia service.
We have a little video to show you guys.
To put people to
Get it
sleep.
up on here. I think last time I just clicked it there, yeah.
I first woke up, so to speak, when I was working on the anesthesia service.
Sorry, it's not
to put
very-
people to sleep. And I was seeing my patients for the next day's surgery, for coronary artery bypass surgery, in order to bypass clogged arteries in their heart. Because it was late at night, I drew the man's blood test, and when I took the blood to the laboratory and had it processed, I couldn't believe my eyes. Now normally, this liquid layer floating on top of the blood clot is quite transparent. It's yellow, but quite clear. You can see right through it. The blood in this patient's tube, however, was anything but clear. The serum floating on his clot was thick and greasy white. It looked like glue. In fact, it stuck to the sides of the blood tube when I shook the tube. I went back to the patient. I said, Mr. Phillips, did you eat before you came to the hospital tonight? He said, yes. I said, what did you have? He said, I had a cheeseburger and a milkshake. And when he said that, I realized that what I was looking at in his tube was all the fat in the beef burger, all the butter fat in the cheese, and the butter fat in the ice cream and in the milkshake. And all this fat had oozed out into his blood and actually turned his blood fatty. The next morning, we took Mr. Phillips to the operating room, and I put him to sleep, and the surgeon opened up his chest. And from these arteries, he began pulling out yellow, greasy deposits of fatty material called atherosclerosis.
This is a beautiful example of what atherosclerosis looks like. There it is. And I'm going to just gently tug on this now. It's a little hard to pull. Judge Coupon, if you could give it a pull too. We'll see if we can get this thing out.
We are just holding our breath so that you will finish the test.
we show you this video because if you know someone or if you have it yourself, high blood pressure or high cholesterol, that is 100% what that is, and it is 100% food driven, right? It is something that you can reverse, but what happens is all of the high blood pressure and high cholesterol start to create plaques in your arteries and turn into, bypass surgery. That's what he was having, bypass surgery, and it leads to strokes, heart attacks, and sometimes death, right? But it's something that we can reverse, and it's something that we can change by making these changes in your diet. Oh yeah. So this is something that Dr. Lianne purchased back in the day. So what is it? 11 years old now? What?
Yeah, that's probably about 11 years old.
Okay, so this
No
is
way.
a McDonald's hamburger. So
You
you
say
can
it like
see
a
the
box.
bun looks pretty cool, right? Like it's still there. We have the hamburger, the cheese didn't even mold. It's still there, exactly. So even they say 100% real beef. Do you think 100% real beef would have
Oh my
disintegrated or molded or something? This still looks picture perfect here, right? We have some French fries, which are obviously not real potatoes because they are looking normal or looking the same. So the next time you bring, you want to reward your kids, you did really well at school, you can go get a Happy Meal. Maybe think twice about that because this is absolutely going to be in their body for a long time. How many days does it take?
It's 102. Half-life is 55, so 102 days to get toxic effects. So
when you eat fast food, it takes 102 days for the toxic effects to leave your body. So I know you want to treat yourself sometimes, but maybe try to have a healthier choice.
well, this is one of the reasons, guys. It's slowly over time. It's like the frog in the boiling water. You don't even realize, like some chips here and some this, that, and it's, that plaquing you saw is literally all the toxic effects of the food that we're showing you up here. It's just bit by bit by bit by bit. And so when you start adding more of the nutrient-dense food in, your body actually can clean. So there's many cardiologists who have taken patients whose arteries are completely blocked, put them on like either all plant-based raw diet, and within like 30 days you can see total clearing, like a ton of clearing, where they then run, they put the dye through and it looks blocked and then it's not blocked later on.
Oh, that's good to know.
So you absolutely can reverse heart disease. People don't realize it, but just realize every food choice you make is either building disease, it's building health, or building disease. So we're trying to give you all the tools possible, and it's not to scare you, it's just to say, listen, like what you put in your body as fuel is what's going to determine how you feel 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and what diseases you will or won't be experiencing.
I first woke up.
Yes.
Okay, so we have some more bad fats. Now, another thing I want you to be aware of are white breads, white rice, and white pasta, because it's basically taking everything out of it and sprinkling some vitamins on it and saying it's healthy, right? And that's what enriched means. Okay, so what's an alternative for that?
Harry? One sec, technical difficulty. There we go.
Okay. So a healthy alternative is the almond meal flour and flaxseed meal. So Dr. Lianne mentioned that a little bit because it is low in sugar as well. But a lot of those recipes in the book have these substitutes in it, so you don't have to worry about doing that, which is awesome. Just way better than the white breads, white flours, white pasta. All right, and just a visual.
So when animals eat grain, so Dr. Kayla mentioned about grass-fed versus grain-fed meat. So just realize when you buy most of your meat at the grocery store, they're not always raised with the best standards, and they're actually fed, especially steak and stuff, so people talk about the marbling of the steak. If they're fed tons of corn, think about if you just ate bread all day, what would happen? You'd feel very bloated and puffy. Well, guess what? When cows eat all corn, they get very bloated and puffy, and I know sometimes that makes your steak taste better, but realize your body has to absorb. Whatever it eats, it's got to be able to absorb. So you're not just what you eat, you're what you're eating ate. So whatever your food ate is what it creates. So we go through this because store-bought meat, the ratio of your omega-3 to omega-6 fatty acids determines your risk of heart disease. So when they do different tests, when you buy grass-fed beef, it's a 4-to-1 or 2-to-1 ratio. When you buy grain-fed, which is the store-bought meat, it's 21-to-1. And this is the #1 marker. When you look at that big artery they just pulled all that toxic plaquing out of, That's why a medical doctor will say don't have red meat. It's not that you can't have red meat, it's the kind of red meat you're eating. So if you go to a natural farmer who feeds their cows mostly grass and maybe a tiny little bit of the corn or other stuff, but 90% of it's real, like what a cow should eat, you have a totally different number. So I actually had a colleague, one of my very good friends, a chiropractor, he actually did this test on himself. So his family always bought like from a natural farmer where they had no GMOs, the animals ate real what they were supposed to eat, the beef was grass fed, and so he got his numbers tested, and he was about 5 to 1, 6 to 1, so a little bit over, but not by much. He did a test for 30 days. He bought all store-bought meat, everything from the grocery store. And guess what his numbers were at the end of that 30 days? I think it was 38 days he did it for. It was 28 to 1. So he literally just upped his heart attack risk within 30 days just from eating mostly store-bought meat. So we actually have a farmer we recommend, Norton Farms. They're patients of mine, but they're also really amazing people, a great family-run farm. There is a couple farms around here that we support and recommend to our patients because they feed their animals naturally. It's supporting local, and you're getting actually something that your body can use because your body has to break down what you put inside of it. And so this is one of the things that cause inflammation and cause heart disease. So if you're eating a lot of store-bought meat, you either need to cut back on it or buy a different source of it. And especially if you go straight to the farmer, it's definitely a lower price because I know sometimes certain grocery stores have like the healthy meat. It can be a higher price, but because they're selling it right from their farm, you get it for a very reasonable price. So they have at Norton Farms, they have everything, and I can give you that contact if you're looking for it, but you can just look up Norton Farms. And actually it's really great if they're on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, check them out because they do videos of their animals, and you see these happy animals who are loving life and enjoying, like they get to roam free, and it's a totally different atmosphere than, you know, being shoved into a barn without room. Like there's some really awful videos out there just how some animals are raised because they're raised in mass amounts. They don't get to move, they don't get to enjoy life. We'll realize, you know, just as we're emotional beings, it's like there's anxiety and stuff that might be involved with those animals and living in those type of quarters. So grass-fed versus corn-fed, you can see some of the, I've already went through some of those changes. So supplements that can help, if you know that you're eating too many foods on the list that we said are not healthy options, some supplements you want to get, so digest enzymes help you break down your food. So one of the things you can do, again, if you can't get rid of certain foods out of your diet because you're just not ready to take that step yet, at least be taking digestive enzymes to help your body break those down. Chromium, so if someone deals with blood sugars going up and down, chromium or chromate is definitely a supplement that can help keep your blood sugars level. So if someone has diabetes, that's a great one. You can also do like a cell detox. So I'm pretty sure we have some maybe left of the detox, but clean up your cells. So we don't want one of those cleanses that are just like a bowel flusher. We actually want a cell cleanser. There's a very big difference, so we can definitely get you that product if you need as well. So number 3, so the first one's cut back on sugar. The second one's get rid of bad fats and add good fats. Number 3 is ditch the processed food. This one kind of goes along with both the bad fats and the sugar, but ditching processed food, anything that comes in a package you want to limit. So things like saturated fats, high fructose corn syrup, sugars, artificial sweeteners, artificial colorings, MSG, sodium, bleached, which is also enriched, white stuff, excessive and unpronounceable ingredients. So if you flip it over and you can't read it, what do you think your body can do with it? About the same, right? So we want to make sure we have real live ingredients. MSG is a real toxic poison to our body, especially our brain. So just realize in a lot of foods, and when I was young, we used to eat a lot of this onion soup mix. We used to put it in our burgers. We used to make like sour cream with it and dip our chips in it. So this was like a staple in our house when we were kids. So again, 80-20. If you feel like you can't get rid of that, use it as a snack. But you shouldn't be eating it every night as a snack because MSG, so things like, again, when you look at multiple sclerosis, MS, a lot of those symptoms, just like aspartame, when you're getting these neurotoxic chemicals in the body, your body can't process it. So things like numbness, facial pressure, nausea, weakness, burning sensation, chest pain, rapid heartbeat, tingling, you can get all of these. It affects everything, like every single system of the body it's going to affect. So these are things you do want to limit. Children eat more than 12 hot dogs per month have 9 times the normal risk of developing childhood leukemia. So when I was a kid, we had a hot dog day every week at school. Well, if you eat 2 hot dogs a week, that's almost at 11. So your risk of childhood leukemia just shot out the roof. So if you're going to buy hot dogs, again, go to the farmer who has no nitrates, no nitrates. There's real ingredients versus just buying, the Schneiders from the grocery store. At least if you're going to buy it, try to buy the real ones. And just because it says like 100% beef, McDonald's will tell you it's 100% beef. That's the name of the company that they buy from. So just realize you want to flip the package over and read the ingredients. If there's a bunch of stuff you can't pronounce, you definitely want to find an alternate source of it. GMOs, I'll be honest, it's really sad nowadays. It's like they have to label food organic. They should actually just have real food, and then stuff with GMOs labeled GMO, but they don't. So just realize most of our fruits and vegetables are completely sprayed with toxic crap. Thankfully nowadays, because we've demanded more, they've produced more organic options for us. But most of our food is sprayed multiple times with pesticides. Again, that gets stored in it, and we have to break it down. Well, guess what fat cells are? Fat cells are stored toxins. So if you're seeing a lot of the food that you eat, if you're eating a lot of toxic things, and that also includes what you're going to see in our seminars coming up, is like lotions and perfumes and shampoos and conditioners and our body products, tons of toxins. Well, our body will store them as fat cells. GMO foods cause massive tumors in rats, so I hope you guys can see this. They have these big monster tumors. This is 3 months. Feeding a rat 3 months of GMO, just sprayed chemical food, which is, you go to the grocery store, the majority of it is that, unless it says organic, they get these massive tumors. Well, what does that do in us? Yeah. So sugar and GMOs are the two biggest things I can see that are fueling cancer, to be honest with you. We feed our kids some crazy stuff, Lunchables, because they're quick and easy. That's the ingredients of one Lunchable. I can't pronounce half the stuff.
Holy crap.
I know, right? There was one that was like dough softeners. I'm like, what is a dough softener? I don't even know what that is. But it's like, I'll just pick a random line to read and be like, I can't read half the stuff on that line. A lot of artificial coloring as well, which will have a similar effect as things like aspartame.
Yeah.
Dr. Kayla's going to go over alkalinity.
Cool. So in your body, we want generally our body to be alkaline. We don't want to have an acidic environment in our body because all diseases have an acidic environment, right? So we have acid-forming foods. We have hamburgers, hot dogs, lunch meat, candy, cookies, sugar, alcohol, soda, white bread, and white noodles. Now the alkaline foods are quite the opposite. So we have a lot of vegetables. We have beets, cauliflower, celery, kale, apples, avocados, figs, lemons and limes, almonds, and grapefruit. People get confused about lemons and limes because they're like, aren't those acidic? Right? Yes, they are acidic outside of your body, but when you ingest them, they become alkaline. So they actually are really beneficial for you, even though they're acidic outside of your body. So yeah, we have acidifying and alkalizing. Now remember, you want to increase your vegetables and increase the alkalinity in your body. So we have the most alkaline foods. We have celery, cucumber, kale. Most people think kale is disgusting, but you can like make kale chips and like fry them so they're crunchy. They're not just like wet lettuce. So you actually can make it good. Broccoli, peppers, and avocados.
I love avocados.
Yes, so does Sarah.
Oh God, she does. Yeah.
Yes. And Dr. Lane's just going to talk a bit about the coffee that we use.
So I don't know if you guys have seen, we have a different coffee here in our office. It's Organo coffee, and the reason why is, so most people don't know this, but if you drink a lot of coffee, especially a couple cups at least a day, you have to drink 17 cups of water to neutralize 1 cup of coffee. So coffee is very acidic. So again, disease, well, the good news is you can buy organic coffee. No, you do not have to get rid of it. So
Well, I'm going to switch back to yours, so yours is good. It's
So,
really good. Yeah.
I'll explain. There was a lot of times when patients come to me and have really significant disease, and they're like, Dr. Lianne, like, I have cancer, I have heart disease, I don't want to go on this medication. The first thing I used to tell them is you need to cut out your coffee because it's so acidic. It's so hard to combat the acidity of the coffee because you can't get enough alkalinity and to get the body back close to that neutral ground. So Organo coffee is alkaline. What they've done is they've taken the most potent antioxidant in the world, which is a Ganoderma lucida mushroom, so it's a reishi mushroom, and they've put it into the coffee, so now the coffee's alkaline. So now your body can absorb, you still get the caffeine, you still get to have the energy, you still get the taste because it's still coffee, but because they've added that antioxidant, it's created an alkaline coffee, so you can drink as much as you want, and it's not going to harm your body. You don't have to drink tons of water to neutralize it. So some of the things it does, it hydrates and it creates balance in your pH. It detoxifies and strengthens and boosts your immune system. So again, if you want an immune system booster, if you're putting your body in that acidic state, your body is not going to have its optimal immune system function. Oxygenates the body. It increases brain power, focus, and concentration. I've had multiple patients who suffer from brain fog. They start drinking the Organo coffee and the brain fog disappears after a couple cups. They can't believe it. They're like, my brain fog went away. Or stomach issues especially. So people with stomach issues and can't figure out where it's coming from, I put them on the Organo coffee and all of a sudden their stomach issues are gone. It's unbelievable. Energy and boosts stamina, improves blood circulation, improves quality of sleep, it's certified organic. There's no jitters, anxiety, or caffeine crash, so people can actually drink this coffee. I only have one person out of, the how many years I've been selling it that can't drink it at night because they're super sensitive to caffeine, but every one of my patients can pretty much drink this at night. Your body only interprets it as 9 micrograms of caffeine, even though there's 135, just like a regular cup of coffee, because of the Ganoderma in it. Your body only recognizes it that. And I should have put it in here because Dr. Bob Rakowski, who's an unbelievable, treats a lot of like famous athletes, famous stars all around the world. He's a functional medicine doctor, chiropractor, sports, like he's the top guy. He literally has done more study on this product and the Ganoderma lucida mushroom than anyone I know. He just posted, so you know how everyone's afraid of SARS-CoV? It combats and kills. So it's antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, kills off bacteria and virus. So he's been putting all his patients, and all the functional medicine doctors have put all their patients on, it actually got to the point where we couldn't even stock the coffee because so many functional medicine doctors got a hold of this. And they're like, we need it for our patients, because they had to tell their patients you can't drink coffee because they're the sickest of the sick trying to get healthy naturally. So we do provide it, and they do have options. So we have like our plain just like black coffee, but then we have things like lattes and mochas and hot chocolate. So for kids, giving them, like kids with a lot of acne, and especially with the mass who are getting acne from the mass, just putting them on 1 cup of hot chocolate a day. There is some sugars and stuff that are more natural in it, but it's got all the Ganoderma in it, and we've seen tons of kids with acne, their acne just disappear out of it, and face blemishes. So, can you back what's that I was trying to show? So the reason I tell patients to get rid of regular coffee, it dehydrates your body, it's acidic, it raises your blood pressure, increases your stress hormone, cortisol in the body. It can be addictive, it causes jitters and withdrawal and crashes later on. And so it takes 17 cups of water. So this is one of the reasons I have my patients switch over. So if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll get you guys set up. You can grab some on the way out, but we can discuss more. Okay?
So that's right. Yep.
That's right.
All right, so the last tip, so we had avoid sugar, add more fat, dish processed food, go alkaline, and the last one is to get more greens. Right, so we've kind of touched on this the whole time. Vegetables give you more energy, more nutrients, and more value for your calories, right? So some greens that maybe you haven't tried before, because I know some people stick to like lettuce, and that's it, right? So we have kale, broccoli, artichokes, and look at these things underneath. They're antioxidants, prevent cancer, anti-inflammatory, so that's decreased pain. Asparagus, they balance insulin levels, so that's helping with sugar. Anyone has scurvy, but we hope not. So cabbage, arugula, you know, lots of these things are high in fiber. They fight cancer, so we've kind of repeated that throughout the seminar. But the biggest thing is it decreases inflammation and it provides you with proper nutrients, right? So this is a quote that we love to use is, if it came from a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, don't. Right, so it's quite powerful. There's not much to explain about that, but it is very true, right?
Thank you. So again, just to trip back to the fridge, which wood does yours look like? And again, my goal, guys, is not to overwhelm you guys. I know we gave you a lot of information. We are going to give you the top 10 best foods to eat as well. But the biggest thing is every step you take, if all you do is just add in 1 serving of broccoli a day, or if you increase your water, so one easy thing you can do is just increase your water intake. Just by increasing your water intake, that's an amazing thing you can do for your body just to get more health. Most people who feel really tired every day, as soon as they increase the water, that helps with feeling fatigued and tired. So there's that quote I gave at the beginning, live food equals life, dead food equals death. So the more live food you put in, the better you're going to feel. And again, we don't want you to home and feel like you can't do anything because it's too much. 1 step, every step, 1 serving of vegetables. So top 10 best foods that you can eat to prevent and reverse disease, to maximize your health. So we're going to give you the top 10. These are things you want to add in. So if you can't get rid of everything, leave it in there, start adding in the good stuff and work away at getting rid of the bad stuff. So raw almonds, nuts, and seeds, again, Dr. Kayla mentioned you don't want 17 handfuls, because I have people being like, I'm eating all the food you told me, but I'm not even losing weight. And it's like, I sit down and do a food diary and find out they had like 17 handfuls of nuts. I'm like, well, that's like 5,000 calories. It's like, it's good food, but like, did you do 5,000 calories worth of exercise? So it's not calories in, calories out, but you still have to be able to burn off what you put in. So, you know, a handful is a serving, not 5. So we just have to make sure we're being mindful. Same as when you make like the almond cookies, they taste amazing and it's easy to eat 10 of them. But truthfully, like when you take almonds and put them down into, you know, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. So you just make sure like you're not having 6 cookies, you know, have 2 as your snacks. That way your serving size is staying where it's supposed to be. Extra virgin coconut and olive oil. So these are things you can add into your salads, you can add into your protein shakes. But it's high in antioxidants, vitamin E, supports thyroid and brain function, so all good healthy fats are good for the brain. Dr. Kayla mentioned a lot of times, especially people on cholesterol medication, it actually pulls fats from your brain. So they see people who are on cholesterol medication long term, things like Alzheimer's and neurodegenerative diseases, because it's pulling the fats from your brain. It might be helping cholesterol in other areas, but it's actually robbing your brain of what it actually needs. So you want to make sure. Alzheimer's is another one. So coconut oil, I always give my patients a recipe for my chocolate bar because it's coconut oil basically is the base. And if Alzheimer's patients get coconut oil in their body, you can see them reverse some of those stages of Alzheimer's and improve their cognition. Beans, so it's a great source of protein, fiber, complex carbs, gives you long-lasting energy. Again, you can add that into a meal. And it shows, research shows 2 servings of any bean can lower your blood cholesterol as much as 27%. That's just by adding something simple into your day. Quinoa and hemp, so full of amino acids, your essential fatty acids. Hemp seeds are really great. It also gives you protein. So people who are cutting back their meat but still want protein, hemp seeds are a great source of protein.
All right, so we have sprouted grain bread, so Ezekiel bread. So basically it like sprouts from grain, which is pretty cool. And then we have all vegetables, which we already mentioned, full of nutrients and phytochemicals, which give you lots of energy and also clean out your cells. We touched on the fish. We want to make sure we're not buying grocery store fish, right? We're going to a reliable source. Does Norton Farms have fish too or not?
I don't know if Norton Farms. I'm going to find out, but I'll find you guys. So if someone wants to put that question in the thread on Facebook, I can certainly find some sources and give you some sources right online for that.
Yeah. So again, we want the omega-3 fats. Those are the good fats that we want, right? And then eggs provide 12% of the daily recommended value for protein, as well as other nutrients, vitamin A and the B vitamins too, which is great.
Probiotic food, so again, you don't want the Activia yogurt. You want I actually don't do yogurt, I do like a probiotic, because your gut still needs good, healthy bacteria. But I'll be honest, like if I were going to buy yogurt, I'd want the Activia kind. That's the kind my body would want to have. So if I have to eat the stuff that doesn't taste good and have to hide it somewhere, I just actually get a probiotic. But I do have things like sauerkraut in what's that?
Fermented.
Fermented. Thank you. Fermented food. So I do fermented foods. I do enjoy that very much, but I don't like the natural yogurt. So green leafy vegetables, spinach, kale, arugula. So I would just say the biggest thing you can do is add a big salad to each meal. So at lunch and dinner, add a ginormous salad and 1 serving of vegetables to whatever you're eating, and that's already a great step in the right direction. So the traditional medicine cabinet, and this is what I grew up with. I didn't know any different, full of medicine. My medicine cabinet now is full of things like, so my flu shot is like, I get my juicer out and I put in cucumbers and I put in celery, spinach and kale and green apple, and I make like flu shots versus flu shots, because truthfully it's like if you fill your body full of good healthy stuff, your body can fight disease. Guys, the thing that most people don't realize is your body was created to heal. God created our bodies perfect. You don't leave anything out. So our body's not either a cut, a broken bone, a 3rd-degree burn. You can reverse disease. I've seen every patient that's come in with disease who wanted to and applied these steps, reverse disease. So our body should always be in a state of healing. And if we can remove the interference that's causing sickness and add in what our body actually needs or is devoid of, then your body can heal. That's the most powerful thing that I can give you today, is knowing that your body was created perfectly to heal if we give it what it actually needs. So this is Shelley before we did our big Maximize Living Makeover. So our Maximize Living Maker used to be like a 4-hour seminar, like all immersive. We used to do all the essentials all in one. So it was a big day. We did serve a lunch. So what we're doing is we're taking that seminar and spreading it out over 4 months versus one day. Well, number one, we can't get everyone in that. We used to do a couple hundred people in one room, which we're not allowed to do right now. So she had joint pain, high blood pressure, was on multiple medications, obviously in the obese category. It doesn't even look like her. This is her, 90 pounds down, after she applied the principles that we taught in our office. And so you guys can be in the same situation, and just like I gave you a testimonial of my patient right when we started, you can. If you start applying today bit by bit by bit, and reach out to myself, reach out to Dr. Kayla, get on the Facebook group, ask your questions, become part of the community, because this is what we want to see for all of our patients, that after this whole quarantine crap, everyone comes out healthier versus sick or sad or more depressed. It's like, how do we get healthier, more fit, more energetic? And we're going to give you so many tools that you can use right in your own home, that just because the gym's closed, don't care. We're going to give you stuff you can do in your house. Well, just because the restaurant's closed, we're going to give you stuff that you can do. So we're going to do our best to help you guys in the situation that we're all in. So this is her before and after. And again, this was our old Maximize Living book. So this is our 3rd book since then. We've had 3 different books over time, but they basically have the same principles, the same 5 essentials. This is Kayla. So not just Dr. Kayla. This was Kayla before. This is Kayla after. So again, you can see, I think the next one, her face, you can see the difference. I actually have a picture of myself. So before I started applying all these principles to now, I had very similar, that puffy kind of moon face. And then my face now compared to what it was 10, 15 years ago, it was a complete difference. I should actually put it in here so people can see. So I get it, and I understand the struggles, guys, because I've started nutrition seminars before and said, hey, who's struggling with their nutrition? Everybody puts up their hand. I'm like, me too. I woke up and had no Henry for breakfast. So it happens. It's like life happens. And the thing is, don't be mad at yourself for what you didn't do well. Pick yourself up and get back going, because we're always going to fall. You just get back up and you keep going, and you can't be hard at yourself. If you spend your whole day being mad at yourself for what you didn't do right or what went wrong, how do you get moving in the right direction? So that's one of the things we want to create, is that environment of positivity to keep lifting you up. And if you fall down, reach out to one of us, and it can be private. If you want to private message us or email us, you can. We'll get on a phone call with you and help encourage you through this. But if you want to be part of the group and let the whole group encourage you, please feel free to do that, because we want this to be okay. These two women are approximately the same age. The question is, what you can end up in one stage or the other. And the question I always say to patients when we do our doctor's report, which is our x-ray and nerve system seminar, is where do you want to be in 20 years? Honestly, where do you want to be? How do you want to feel? What do you want your life to look like? And what you do today is going to depend on where you are 20 years from now. So we've got the two books. These are the two things I'm going to recommend, and we're going to put more on the Facebook group. But Align Your Health, that's the book that I've already shown you. It has all the tools. This actually has all 5 essentials. It has testimonials. It has tips and tricks, and has over 100 recipes in the back. But it's basically your tool guide to health. This Max T3, it's a little bookmark, but what it is you can go online and it's home exercises. I do these workouts all the time in my own home, and you don't need hardly any equipment. You need like an exercise ball. You can buy some bands off Amazon, and if you have steps in your house, or even you can probably do it on like a little step like that, you just need someone to step up. That's pretty much it. You can do the entire workout with those 3 things. So for less than $50, you can have all the equipment you need. And I think the Max T3, I'm going to say it's less than $40 to buy. I think it might be $35, but you can have it for life, and you can log on your. So I do it on my phone. I bring my phone in the basement, and I'll do it. I bring my phone in the garage, and my gym in the garage, but I can do it anywhere in my house. So what we're going to do for everyone who's part of this challenge and part of our group, we've actually packaged some vitamin C, vitamin D3, and zinc. So we've got some little packages. These are the 3 most important supplements you can be using right now to boost your immune system. So research has actually shown for people who are taking vitamin C, vitamin D3, and zinc, you could literally prevent 90% of colds and flus. 90%. So for people who right now are afraid of coronavirus, getting sick, or not being able to go to work because you have a sniffle, or everyone's looking at you funny because you cough, you want to get on the supplements. So, and I will post on the Facebook group the D3, you want to make sure to do 5,000 units, not 1,000. So the bottle says 1, you want to do at least 5,000 units. In Canada, we do not get enough sun in the wintertime. If you lived in Florida, you wouldn't need so much D3 because you're getting out in the sun, but here in Canada, we don't get enough. So the benefits, I'm not going to go through each one. I can certainly send that out and put it on the Facebook group. But the very last thing is, so everyone here is patients in the office because we've only opened this part up to patients. But if you have friends or family, we want to make sure that we're getting them checked as well. So again, every adjustment you get can boost your immune system up to 200%. So our main focus during this whole time where we're stuck indoors and we can't go anywhere and we can't interact and we're chemicalizing and sanitizing everything is keeping your immune system boosted. So number 1, healthier foods are going to do that. The supplements we talked about are doing that, but the most important thing you do is keep up with your adjustments. And if you're feeling run down, get extra adjustments, because your nervous system runs your entire body. When those nerves come down, they go out to all the parts of your body that run your body, your heart, lungs, stomach, bowel, bladder. So keeping pressure off your nervous system is going to allow your body to function and heal at its optimal. And like I said, every adjustment can boost your immune system up to 200%. So make sure, ask us guys, we can give you guys gift certificates for friends and family. If there's people on Facebook Live who've been invited as a friend or family, get them a gift certificate so they can get their spine checked, because people may not know if they have a curve in their spine pinching nerves or organs, it could be creating sickness and disease that they don't even know. Same thing, if you're pinching all the nerves that go to your bowels, how do you absorb the food properly or digest properly? So I've had patients come in for their very first adjustment, and one adjustment, they go home and poop 8 times after one adjustment. They've had bowel problems their whole life, and within 2 weeks in the office, their bowels are regular again. So realize it's like, if your bowels aren't working properly, you can't absorb properly, you can't digest properly, you can't eliminate. So simply, again, keeping pressure off the nervous system can help do a better job at helping your body accommodate. Okay? So, just finish the little quote: believe in yourself and all that you are. Know that there is something inside of you that is greater than any obstacle. So we just want to encourage you guys today. Do you guys have any questions before we finish up? Any questions? Do you hate us or you love us still? I know, we took away all your food, right? And please, guys, reach out if you're like, well, I really love this food.
What do you have for breakfast?
Depends. Sometimes I fast breakfast, sometimes I have a protein shake, sometimes I'll have eggs, sometimes I'll have an omelet. So in the book, it'll give you like 10 different options. My most common one, I'll be honest, I love the protein shake for breakfast, and sometimes that could be something like chocolate with like almond butter. Sometimes it
Okay.
could be like vanilla with multiple like high antioxidant berries. I put phytoberry in my reds in it, and I got this like high antioxidant drink, and it honestly kind of tastes like you're having like
That's what
frozen
I eat,
yogurt
yeah.
or milkshake. Yeah,
And that's the
depending on how
hardest
thick.
meal, yeah.
So breakfast for me, I love protein shakes in the morning, but I also there's times where I'm like on my Thursday morning where I know I'm going to be adjusting all morning, I have eggs. So I'll
Right.
have eggs and vegetables because, especially if I've got avocado, tomato, and cucumber, I love that trifecta. And then I have eggs because it's going to keep me fuller longer. So if I just have a protein shake sometimes for breakfast, I'm less than fasting, then I by the end of my shift, I'm like, my blood sugar, I need food. So I'll often have like an actual meal. But if I'm not working till later in the afternoon, I have a very light breakfast and a heavier lunch and dinner.
Good, okay,
Yep.
good ideas.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Nope. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming, guys. We're glad we at least got a small group in here. This is great to have people in front of us, and we're not just doing a seminar to a camera.
Yeah.
Thank you to all our Facebook friends that are on there that are watching. If we're going to go back and watch this, and for any reason the sound isn't loud enough or it was hard to follow, we're going to post the nutrition seminar for you guys to rewatch. If if we find that there's problems for the Facebook people. Okay. Awesome. Have a
Thank
great day,
you.
everybody. We'll see you later.
Very good.